Amherst to East Aurora, covering all of Western New York, this is News 4, your local news leader.
With the total solar eclipse next Monday, Buffalo's top officials are finalizing details to make sure local residents and the added tens of thousands of visitors are safe.
Right now we are joined by Buffalo's DPW Commissioner Nate Martin. Nate, thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure this afternoon. On a great sunny day, we can only hope, and maybe we'll hear the forecast a little bit from Don about what this might look like next Monday. So
Don will certainly have that for us. Meanwhile, the city has been preparing for months now. Here we are, officially 1 week out. How are your crews feeling ahead of the big day?
We're actually, I think, pretty well prepared from our perspective. At the announcement today, we announced, City Hall was closing, and then some impacts to residents from sanitation and recycling. We're going to push everything back a day from our standpoint. So, from an abundance of caution, not wanting our big equipment that has trouble turning, that has trouble getting around traffic off those streets. So, a little caution. We'll take a day. We'll push everything Monday to Tuesday. Monday's pickup would be Tuesday, and we'll slide everything the week. So, from a department standpoint, I think we're in a pretty good place. Looking forward to next week.
I'm curious about how, let's just say, Buffalo as a city, your department, other departments, how are you guys planning for this? Are you contacting other cities that have been in paths of totality in the past and say, what are you doing? How has that communication been?
That actually has been a lot of the research of what we've been putting in place. We've got the task force, a committee that we have that's internal, but we've also got county and state, government entities in there with us. So we're taking lessons learned, some of that feedback that we've gotten, the traffic congestion that we talk about. That's directly from what people have experienced in the past.
What are they saying to you about that? Because I think that's what a lot of people, some people may think, oh, you're blowing it out of proportion, or there's not going to be that many people, or it might be cloudy, or what have you. But people, experts in your field tell you what?
Well, based on what has been seen in other eclipses where this has come by, traffic has been an issue. So we're encouraging people, leave early, be prepared to stay longer, be prepared for slower traffic. So be cautious as you approach the day, and don't assume. I think Captain Rogowski at the press conference today said, we're known for 20 minutes and you're anywhere in Western New York. Right. That may not be the case next Monday, so just be prepared for that. So that's really our message. Be aware and be prepared for a potentially longer trip.
So that's for traffic. What are the expectations as far as parking and everything too, especially with some of the smaller streets?
Yeah, so it is tricky from that standpoint. So our parking commissioner, Ray Wagner, we're really trying to encourage everybody, just follow those rules. You might be tempted to try to sneak in and get in front of a hydrant or get in front of a driveway, or I can park on the grass. We're just asking you, don't do that. Please respect private property, respect city property. Don't pull into a park and pull onto a field just because it looks like you can. Stay in those lots, stay on the roads, and just help us care for our city ultimately.
Among the traffic control measures, and I imagine this is mostly for safety, the Skyway is being shut down at 8 a.m. On that Monday. So that is something that people really need to be aware of. Right. There are, of course, many events at the Outer Harbor. Best advice? I mean, people leaving, because it closes at 8. So.
Right. Yeah, so again, as we've been talking about, I think as you've heard from the county representatives and others, leave early. Prepare for a longer day. Prepare to maybe not leave as quickly at the end of it. So there's a lot of time to move into the eclipse, days ahead of time, but the eclipse occurs, and then there's going to be an exodus. So just plan accordingly and give yourself a lot of time.
So here we are. It is officially spring. A lot of people looking ahead to summer. You guys are looking ahead to next winter. What can you tell us about this new snow plan?
Yeah, well, we're really going to build it. So it's due today. So the council submission is today. So we filed it with council today. We're really going to build on what we put in the plan from last year. We really did a revamp of everything last year to think about how we handled the blizzard and what needed to improve from a communication standpoint operationally. So we made a lot of changes last year. So this past winter, we're just coming out of winter now. So we put together the plan that really is core based on that we'll continue to improve on with our communications and cooperation with the Erie County and state representatives. And what really worked well, we'll look to do that again, obviously this winter.
Based on the fact that we are coming out of a very mild winter, during one when I imagine the city did spend some money on contractors and things like that. Going into this next winter, is the city seeing some kind of a savings because this year was so mild? It was pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, so we've had savings from an overtime perspective, which we normally have to incur on major storms. So the storm of this past January was a high peak. It was actually a higher peak from an overtime perspective than the storms in 2022 and 23. So that was a high peak, but gas, fuel, diesel gas, less salt usage. We're about 75% of our usage compared to last year. So we'll see some of that savings. Not significant, but yet it is savings that we are going to realize as a city.
And Nate, we were also talking during the break, this is also the time of year where your crews kind of transition from winter to summer. What are your goals for your crews this summer?
Yeah, so I think, last year was my first summer through everything, so I think the lessons learned, making sure we're in front of some of those hotspot issues, grass cutting on open lots. So we put a plan in place that I think got in front of some of the issues that we've had in years past, so we're going to look to improve upon that as well. So just as one example. So today is the transition day from our staff from the winter operations to the summer, so we're just kind of getting into it. But as we move, what can we do better to deliver services to our residents? That's what we were focused on.
Okay. Buffalo DPW Commissioner Nate Martin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. All right.
Best of luck in the next week.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
to all of us.
All right, listen over to Don Paul.